Discover the incredible life-changing moment when a poor girl exposed a hidden truth to a paralyzed community. In the crumbling heart of Blue River, where dreams faded like the paint on old houses, 12-year-old Lily Evans was about to ignite a fire. The laughter of children echoed through her mind, memories dancing like sunlight on water. The town was holding its breath, and the air buzzed with an urgency that promised something big was coming. Lily, with her wild curls and fierce spirit, clutched the worn photograph of her father, a smile frozen in time at the community center, the place where she belonged. Lily's world was small but vibrant. Days spent helping her mother, Betsy, made the modest home feel alive. Her mother waited tables at the diner, her feet aching and heart balanced by hope. Yet as bags under Betsy's eyes deepened, so did the shadows of their financial struggles. The factory, once a lifeblood for Blue River, now stood silent like a ghost haunting memories of better days. The townsfolk whispered in strains of defeat, like a once grand song now muffled. And as Lily watched her friends slip into despair, her heart began to beat with purpose. "Let us save the center," she declared one sunny afternoon, her voice cutting through the air thick with despair. The girls gathered, their eyes sparkling with determination as they brainstormed ideas. Car washes, bake sales. Their hearts beat as one hope stringing them together. It felt magical, like throwing open a door to the world of possibilities. With every plan, laughter filled the air. Yet, behind the boisterous chatter, a gnawing feeling tugged at the edges of her dreams. As her fundraising efforts took flight, she stumbled into shadows hidden beneath polite smiles. Local leaders misusing funds meant for struggling families. Anger twisted in her chest like a coiled snake. It wasn't fair. Lily felt betrayal creep into her heart. Her trust shattered, and the ideals of integrity now tasted bitter. How could these figures, so respected, betray the community built on unity? Here began her journey to seek the truth, undeterred by fear. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With newfound resolve, she called for a town hall meeting, a courageous stand in the face of uncertainty. Would they believe her? The thought made her stomach twist. The anticipation was a storm brewing inside her. She could feel the weight of her mother's troubled gaze on her back. Betsy loved her but feared the fallout. The town that had once felt like a warm embrace now seethed with suspicion. As the evening came, townsfolk filled the hall, tension crackling in the air. Each face was a mix of intrigue and doubt. Lily stood firm, clutching her notes, her heart pounding. Would her community rise with her, or allow their fear to shackle them? This was at the moment the truth coiled tightly around her, straining for release. "Will you stand for what's right?" she urged, breathless. She searched their faces, seeing weary hearts yearning for hope. Could she show them that defiance against corruption could reignite the flames of unity? The crack in the foundation of their beliefs had just begun. Would they confront the truths that lay in the shadows? Or would they turn away, shackled by fear? As those eyes met hers, she knew the answer rested in the storm of emotions brewing around her. The community was at a crossroads, and Lily's voice was the whisper that could shatter the silence. Lily looked out at the faces in the dimly lit town hall, each one a reflection of uncertainty and hesitation. An unexpected silence hung in the air, so thick it felt like a cloud, heavy with the weight of undisclosed fears. She could almost hear the heartbeat of the room, fluctuating between belief and disbelief. Would her words carve a new path, or would they remain buried under the dust of neglect? Taking a deep breath, she pressed on. "I know it's scary to stand up. I get it. But if we don't act, if we don't demand the truth, we're letting those who misled us win. We can't let our community wither away while they fill their pockets." Her eyes sparkled with an intensity that matched the fire flickering behind the podium. Inspired by the very essence of her father captured in that photograph, urging her on. The crowd hesitated, their whispers washing over her like gentle waves. Then one familiar face, Mrs. Hargrove, a beloved schoolteacher, stepped forward. Lily, it's not just about exposing the leaders. What can we do? We're just us, she said, her voice wavering. Lily's heart quickened. We are more than just us. We are the spirit of this community. Each one of us has a voice. She was grasping for something, a reason for them to rise. What if we hold them accountable? What if we come together and gather the evidence? If they see us standing together, they will have no choice. There's power in unity. She had read that somewhere, and now it echoed in her thoughts. The weight of their shared struggles could turn into momentum. Collectively, they could spark change. The room began to shift, timid nods morphing into whispers of agreement. A young girl raised her hand, a spark of bravery igniting. I will help. We can gather signatures to show how many people care. Exactly. Lily beamed, a grin breaking across her anxious face. Every voice counts. Let us write letters, make calls. Let's show the leaders we see what they're doing. We will not stay silent. One by one, more hands shot up. Hands that had once felt so small now holding the weight of determination. The whispers intensified into murmurs of resolve, growing louder, fueled by the hope Lily had ignited. Just then, the doors swung open, and the mayor, Mr. Palmer, stepped in. A look of surprise etched onto his face. He had anticipated a quiet meeting, one where he could pass through unnoticed. Yet the atmosphere of the room struck him like a sudden gust of wind. What is going on here? He demanded, confusion mixing with unease. Lily stood tall, voice unwavering. We're demanding the truth about the funds meant for our community, Mr. Palmer. We know about the mismanagement, and we won't let it happen anymore. The room held its breath, poised for the reaction that was about to unfold. Mr. Palmer's face hardened, and a subtle snicker escaped his lips. You think a bunch of children can take on the town's leaders? You have no idea what you're up against. But as he looked around, he saw their eyes fierce, filled with a fire he hadn't expected. Would they really confront the truth? Could they rise together against the very people they trusted? The tension in the room thickened, a spark igniting an unseen flame. This was just the beginning. Would Lily and her town rally to uncover the truth? Or would fear send them retreating into the darkness once more? In that moment, everything hung in the balance, the choices of a community poised on the edge of transformation. And as doubt lingered in the air, it felt clear. They were at the brink of something monumental. What would happen next? Would bravery blossom? Or would the shadows of secrecy swallow them whole? Lily's heart raced as the mayor's laughter echoed within the walls of the town hall, bouncing off the old wooden beams. She could feel the weight of his mockery, but it only fueled her resolve. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about everyone in the room who felt unseen and unheard. Mr. Palmer, she called out, her voice cutting through the tension, it's not just about age. It's about standing for what's right. If we don't speak out, we're saying your actions are okay. A murmur rippled through the crowd, a growing tide of energy that shifted from fear to defiance. Faces that had once been shadows of uncertainty were now lit with conviction. Lily's right, shouted a voice from the back. Jake, a guy known more for his quiet demeanor than his outspoken nature, stepped into the light. We've seen what happens when we stay silent. We all know someone affected by these decisions. The realization that others felt the same rush of courage was like wind beneath her wings. With each word, Lily's spirit soared higher, and she sensed the collective fear dissipating, revealing something deeper, a hunger for change that had been simmering beneath the surface. Think about the families in our community, she urged, her voice cracking with emotion. The single parents, the elderly, the kids who deserve better schools. If we stay quiet, we're letting them down. They need us now more than ever. The murmurs turned into heated discussions. One by one, people began sharing their stories, moments of frustration and betrayal. Mrs. Hargrove spoke of a missing playground. A father mentioned the funds that should have gone to better roads. With every word it was clear. Anger was brewing, but so was unity. Mr. Palmer's face twisted in anger, his annoyance palpable. I won't let a bunch of kids dictate what happens in this town. He barked, his voice low and threatening. A brave woman stepped forward, tapping her fingers against the table as she stood beside Lily. Mr. Mayor, We may be just a bunch of kids to you, but together we are a community. Together, we decide how things work in this town, and we demand accountability." The boldness of her statement drew gasps and then applause. The crowd erupted in supportive cheers, the kind that could shake the walls. Fear melted away. Hope took its place. Lily breathed in deeply, the stinging air filling her lungs. The heat of the moment swirled around her, igniting every fiber of her being. They were no longer alone. They were a force to be reckoned with. "Let us not stop here," she shouted over the clamor. "Let us plan a meeting next week. We can gather evidence, make a list of demands. Who's with me?" Every hand in the room shot up, hands trembling with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. What had started as a faint whisper of change had exploded into a rallying cry. But just as they began to plan, a flicker of doubt crossed Lily's mind. What if the mayor struck back? What if they lost everything? "Lily," Mrs. Hargrove's gentle voice broke through her thoughts. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" Lily looked into the faces surrounding her, and felt something shift. It was more than unity. It was the very fabric of the community weaving together. "Yes," she replied, a fierce smile spreading across her face. "Just the beginning." Outside, the sky had darkened. The winds began to swirl ominously, as if nature itself was responding to the tension. The storm was coming, but Lily felt a calmness within her. They couldn't go back now. As they set their plans in motion, another thought crept into her mind. What if the pushback was more powerful than they anticipated? What if the truth they uncovered was more dangerous than they ever imagined? With the fire of determination burning in her heart, she knew one thing: the fight was just beginning. What secrets lay hidden, waiting to be unveiled? Would they withstand the storm together? Or would the darkness return to engulf them all? The following week arrived with a clarity that felt electric. The sun peered through the remnants of the storm, casting a golden light across the town hall. Lily stood outside, taking deep breaths, her heart filled with a mix of excitement and fear. The meeting was set to begin in just a few moments. She could only hope that the momentum from last week hadn't faded, that the fire in people's hearts was still roaring. The crowd flowed in swiftly, voices buzzing with energy. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers filled the hall, each one fueled by a common purpose: a desire for change. The chatter mingled with apprehensive anticipation as people exchanged nervous glances. "Lily, you got this," Jake said, resting a reassuring hand on her shoulder. His faith in her warmed her. "We'll all stand with you." Lily nodded, her stomach knotting with nerves and excitement. As she stood at the front, she could see an array of faces, some eager, others still wary. But they were all here, ready to take a stand. "Thank you for coming, everyone," she began, her voice steady despite the tremors in her heart. "This is our chance to gather our voices and demand the changes our community desperately needs." The murmurs grew softer, the seriousness of the moment beginning to settle in. Lily took another breath and felt the pulse of what was to come. A woman named Clara stood up first. "I've gathered reports on the mismanagement of the town's funds," she declared, her tone confident but edged with passion. "We can't let the mayor manipulate the numbers anymore." There were nods of agreement and murmurs of support. The air thickened with resolve. Then Jake added, "And I've spoken to families who were directly affected by these cuts. They need our help." With each contribution, a tapestry of stories formed, woven from the shared experiences of struggle and neglect. Elderly neighbors spoke of their mistreatment. Children recounted outdated and inadequate school conditions. The sense of purpose held them like a shield. And Lily's heart swelled with pride and determination. They were no longer individuals, but a strong collective, united against a common injustice. As the meeting progressed, someone suggested creating a community petition. Others chimed in, suggesting organizing a rally to draw attention to their cause. Ideas flowed freely, each more vibrant than the last. But suddenly, a shadow loomed at the entrance. Lily's heart dropped when she recognized Mr. Palmer, striding in with an air of authority that seemed to silence the room. "What is this nonsense?" he boomed, eyeing the crowd with disdain. "You think you can challenge me? This is a waste of time." Fear prickled at the edges of the gathering. But Lily stood tall, defiance surging through her. "No, Mr. Palmer. This is us taking a stand for what's right. This is us demanding accountability. His expression twisted, anger making his face dark. You're just kids. You don't understand how things work. And that's exactly the problem. Someone from the crowd shouted. You've overlooked our voices for too long. The tension thickened, like a tightly wound spring. Lily felt adrenaline rush through her veins. They were on the brink, and it was time to push back. Let us not be intimidated, she shouted, locking eyes with the crowd. We have the power to change this town. Together. Energized, the crowd began to chant her words back to her. Together. Together. Lily's heart raced. This was it. They were igniting something profound, something that couldn't easily be extinguished. But deep down she felt a twinge of dread. What would the mayor do next? Would he retaliate against the community they were fighting for? As the crowd's energy swelled, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was only beginning. What would they learn about the town's past? And how far would they be willing to go to unveil the truth? The storm clouds were clearing, but a different kind of storm was rising. Would they have the courage to face whatever lay ahead? The energy in the room was electric. Every voice echoed like a battle cry, bold and unwavering. But beneath the courage, Lily could sense a growing tension, an undercurrent of fear. What would come next? The weight of uncertainty pressed down on her. Yet she propelled herself forward. Mr. Palmer, do you really think we would stand here if we didn't believe in our cause? Lily called out, her voice steady. If we didn't think the town deserved better? Palmer's face reddened. You think you can threaten me with your little chants? I built this town. His tone dripped with condescension, but the crowd didn't falter. For every disapproving glare he threw, there were a myriad of resolute faces staring him down, each person holding their own story of frustration. Built it? Clara shot back, her voice rising in defiance. Only to watch it crumble under your watch. This is our home too. The ripple of agreement that followed felt like a wave crashing against a dam, pushing against the long-held beliefs of people like Mr. Palmer. Lily's heart surged. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, the chance to shine light on the truth that had been hidden for far too long. As the meeting progressed, Lily called for ideas on how to push forward. We need a committee that focuses on transparency, she said. We should demand to see the town's financial records. Rally support from every corner of this town. A mix of excitement and apprehension filled the hall. Some murmured about fear of backlash, worry creeping into the corners of the crowd. Veterans of the community offered their own comments, reminding everyone of times when they felt powerless. But then a young mother, tears brimming in her eyes, stood up and shared, if we don't fight for our children, then who will? Lily felt the fire inside her ignite stronger. The moment she had almost feared was the very spark they needed. Look, we all have reasons to stand up, some personal, some communal. Our town deserves to thrive, not just survive. We owe it to each other to fight. The voices began to rise again, fusing into a powerful anthem. Fight for our town. Fight for our lives. And in that moment, amidst the clamor, the tension broke. A boy no more than 11 stood up, trembling. I'm scared, he whispered, so softly that the crowd fell silent, each person leaning in to hear. Lily felt her heart twist. She wanted to cradle his fears, to embrace every uncertainty they all felt. It's okay to be scared, she said, her voice softening. But we can't let that fear stop us. We're here together. And together, we are strong. A profound shift happened then. People began to share not just their grievances but their hopes. They connected through their vulnerabilities, weaving a tapestry of resilience that glimmered like the sun breaking through clouds. But just as unity knitted the crowd, a familiar name emerged from across the hall. What about the old mill site? An unknown voice called out. It's been unused for years. Isn't it part of the mayor's dirty dealings? The suggestion hit Lily like a bolt of lightning. The mill, the site of so many whispered stories, a relic echoing past failures. You're right, she exclaimed, the wheels in her brain turning quickly. If that site can be reclaimed, it could become a community center, a symbol of our fight. Excitement bubbled, but as the enthusiasm swirled, a heaviness settled in Lily's chest. Was it really that easy? Could reclaiming a space hold the key to unraveling Palmer's secrets? The chatter grew lively once more, yet Palmer's glare chilled the air. He stepped forward. You think you can take that from me? His voice was low, threatening. Lily inhaled deeply, determination flooding her veins. We don't have to take anything. We're here to build something stronger for all of us. We won't let fear define us. The crowd clamored in support, but as the cheers blended with the rustling whispers of doubt, uncertainty loomed large in the air. These were just words, could they really make a difference? Lily recognized then that the stakes were undeniably higher. Silent war unfolding. The next steps would involve more than words. They would demand sacrifice, courage, and the unveiling of truths long buried. As the meeting stirred with renewed vigor, she wondered how far they would go to reclaim their power. She understood now, the path ahead was not for the faint of heart. What would be the cost of their fight? Would they be ready for what lay in the shadows? The energy pulsed anew, but her mind buzzed with that lurking question. What lengths would Mr. Palmer go to protect his interests? And would that risk everything they had built that night? The tension in the room shifted as Mr. Palmer's threat lingered. The crackle of heated emotions hung in the air, sharp and palpable. Lily's heartbeat quickened. She could see the doubt creeping into the faces around her, but resolutely forced her expression to remain calm. They needed her to be strong. Lily, Clara whispered urgently, her eyes darting toward Palmer. What do we do now? Lily took a breath, feeling the weight of her role push against her. We keep going. We can't let them intimidate us, she replied, her voice steady but edged with urgency. This is our moment. As Clara nodded, Lily turned back to the crowd, scanning their expressions. Fear mingled with hope. We've already made a difference by showing up tonight, but there's so much more we can do together. Let us talk about reclaiming that mill, and what it could mean for all of us. A murmur of agreement rippled through the room as faces started to brighten, reignited by purpose. Yet the dissonant anger radiating from Palmer weighed heavily on her heart. She could feel him plotting, scheming, but there was also a flicker of resolve igniting among the townsfolk. Reclaiming the mill isn't just about a building, Lily pressed on, her voice swelling with passion. It's about our right to voice our desires, to build a future. We cannot let this man dictate our memories or our dreams. A hand shot up from the back. It was Tom, an older man with a weathered face, whose presence had always been a staple in town meetings. But Lily, how do we even begin? That place is his playground. The crowd grew silent, hanging on her words. She locked her gaze on Tom, hoping to draw strength from his decades of experience, and spoke sincerely. We begin by standing together. We can organize meetings, gather signatures, make everyone in town aware. We have something he doesn't. The voice of the people. With the newfound sense of unity fluttering back, Clara took charge. Let us break into smaller groups. We can spread the word, find supporters, talk to our neighbors and gather facts about the mill. An elderly woman chimed in, excitement returning to her voice. I heard there's a way to access the blueprints. We need to know what we're working with. Before the meeting took an even more productive turn, Palmer interrupted, his voice slicing through their optimism. You think you can win this? Think again. I hold all the cards. You're wasting your time. But for the crowd, his words no longer held power. The fire within them burned brighter, and Lily could see the resolve solidifying in their eyes. They would not bow under this tyrant's weight. As ideas bounced around the room, Lily felt hope swell within her. Let us meet again tomorrow, she suggested, exhilaration bubbling through her veins. We'll temper our plans, gather our strength. Together, we can dismantle whatever lies he has built. The atmosphere transformed. The spirit that permeated the hall ignited a sense of belonging that made every heart beat faster. Just as they began to rally, a sharp crack, the sound of a fist hitting a desk, cut through the noise. There stood Mr. Palmer, stormy and red-faced. If you think you can win this battle, he spat, then you don't know me. I won't let you win. You're nothing but a bunch of naive fools. Lily felt a chill. No. We know exactly who you are, she said, her voice cutting through the charged atmosphere. And we will not back down. The thrill of defiance swept over them, and cheers erupted with renewed vigor. But as Lily glanced at Palmer, she saw something that sent a tremor of dread up her spine. His eyes were narrowed, glimmers of malice concealed behind a facade of arrogance. This wasn't just an argument, it was just the beginning. The question pressed heavily in her mind. What would it take to truly rally the town against Palmer, and what lengths would he go to silence them? As the meeting concluded, excitement and anxiety buzzed in the air, weaving uncertainty with determination. The gears had begun to turn, but as Lily walked out, she felt the weight of foreboding settle on her shoulders. The fight had just begun. What would come next? As the townsfolk shuffled out into the cool night, the air was thick with determination and tension. Lily walked alongside Clara, glancing back at the faint echo of the meeting room. "Did you see their faces?" Clara said, her voice humming with energy. "They actually believe we can take back the mill." "It feels real now," Lily replied, but the shadows of doubt still danced on the edges of her mind. What if Palmer was right? What if their efforts crumbled before they even began? They reached the town square, where the glow of street lamps illuminated the old oak tree, a silent witness to countless gatherings. Its presence felt like a reminder of history, of battles both won and lost. A small crowd lingered, discussing plans, exchanging ideas. Lily felt a surge of pride. This was their town, their lives. She nodded to Clara, who smiled back with an encouraging nudge. "Let us make sure we meet the others tomorrow," Clara said. "We can gather a list of everyone who wants to help." "Absolutely," Lily replied, her chest swelling with hope. "I'll send a message out tonight." But as they walked toward the edge of the square, the atmosphere shifted. The lingering laughter and chatter faded into whispers of unease. At that moment, Tom approached, his expression grave. "Lily, we need to talk. There's something serious." Concern flashed through her. "What is it?" Tom hesitated, as if weighing the risk of his next words. "I overheard Palmer talking to someone, a lawyer, I think. He is planning to fight back harder than we realize. We might not be ready for what's coming." Her heart sank. "A lawyer?" "Yeah. He's got resources we don't," Tom continued, fiddling with his hat. "He won't just let us take that mill without a fight. I fear he might go even further to crush our efforts." Clara interjected. "We can't let fear control us. This was just one meeting. We have to stick together and stay strong." But doubt gnawed at Lily's insides. What if their sense of unity crumbled at the first sign of real danger? Gathering support was one thing, but fighting a legal battle against Palmer's wealth and connections was another. "We can prepare," she insisted, but the anxiety simmered beneath her words. Tom nodded firmly. "We need to gather more information. Let us look into Palmer's history, any legal disputes he has faced. Information might give us leverage." "Right," Lily said, her mind racing with possibilities. "And we should definitely dig into the mill's past. If Palmer's not the rightful owner, that could change everything." As they discussed their plans, the group around them started to thicken, and a spark of excitement ignited within Lily. They were no longer just dreamers, they were become a force. She sensed more people joining their cause, drawn in by the stamina of hope flickering through them. But just as the conversation gained momentum, a loud, unmistakable voice echoed from the far end of the square. "You think you can take what's mine? You're in over your heads." It was Mr. Palmer, flanked by a few menacing figures. The sneer on his face sent a wave of fear rippling through the crowd. "Get lost, Palmer," Clara shouted back, but fear had already etched itself into the faces of those around them. "I never lose," he replied coolly. "You don't know what you're up against. I'll crush any rebellion before it even starts." Lily felt the heat of adrenaline surge through her veins. This was the moment they had feared, and yet, it was also an opportunity. Their opponent had revealed himself, and perhaps now, they could strategize without hesitation. "Everyone listen," she shouted, stepping forward. "We have to stand our ground. He thinks he can intimidate us, but we won't be silenced." Some members of the crowd nodded, taking a small step closer to her, but she could see trepidation in others' eyes. Would they truly summon courage against such a formidable foe? "Let us plan," she pressed on, heart racing. "We'll document everything. If Palmer wants a fight, we might just be prepared to give him one." As the crowd murmured in agreement, she felt the gravity of her words, the enormity of their struggle ahead. They were standing on the precipice of an all-out confrontation. And beneath the surface, Something deeper stirred within her. What would it take to win against a man like Palmer? And what sacrifices would that demand from her and her friends? Tomorrow, they would gather again to fight, this time with a greater understanding of the true danger ahead. But as she looked at Palmer, something unshakable shifted in her core. Could they really challenge the status quo? Or were they simply dancing on the edge of a knife? With that thought hanging heavily in the air, the crowd dispersed, each person feeling the weight of uncertainty loom over them. The battle had begun, and the stakes were higher than ever. What would happen when they took the next step? The next morning, the sun rose slowly, casting a warm golden light over the troubled town. It felt like a new dawn, yet the air was thick with anticipation and fear. Lily stood by her bedroom window, looking out at the hollowed streets. The mill loomed large in her mind, a giant shadow at the heart of their lives. She could feel the strength of her conviction, but doubt whispered treacherously at the edges. Today is the day. We'll gather everyone, Lily muttered to herself, willing her resolve to solidify. She reached for her phone and started typing a message to rally the townsfolk. The phone buzzed with notifications. People were responding, eager to join the cause. Her heart lifted with each confirmation. This was it. This was how they would fight back. But amidst the rising hope, the memory of Palmer's sneer lurked in the back of her mind, twisting her stomach. By the time she arrived at the town square, a sense of exhilaration coursed through her. Faces she recognized and many she didn't filled the area, all drawn together by the fire ignited during the meeting. Clara was already there, talking with Tom by the old oak tree. Lily. Clara waved her over, her face alight with determination. Look at this. We've got a whole group ready to stand with us. As Lily approached, she saw a map spread out on a makeshift table. The townsfolk had begun to mark locations they felt were significant key spots that Palmer might overlook, hidden histories that had crisscrossed their lives for generations. It was thrilling, watching them band together, each voice a thread weaving a tapestry of resistance. I spoke to Mrs. Jenkins, Tom said, his eyes sparkling. She remembers some old legal documents that might help us. She said they're hidden in the attic, but she's willing to dig them up if we can help her. Lily beamed at Tom. That's incredible. Every piece of information counts. The crowd buzzed with excitement, voices mingling as plans took shape. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted when a low rumble echoed down the street. A black SUV rolled into view, its tires crunching gravel as it stopped in front of the square. Eyes turned toward it, hearts racing. The door opened and out stepped Palmer, flanked by his lawyer and a couple of imposing figures. He surveyed the crowd, his lips curling into a sinister smile. You thought you could organize without my knowledge? He called, his voice echoing like thunder. Let me make this perfectly clear. I will crush this rebellion. I will not only reclaim my mill. I will bury every last one of you. Fear rippled through the crowd like an electric charge, but before panic could set in, Lily stepped forward. Her heart pounded, and she felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her. You underestimate us, Palmer, she shouted, her voice trembling yet defiant. This isn't just about the mill. This is about our community, our future. We know you can play dirty, but we won't be intimidated. Palmer's laughter grated against her resolve. You think your feeble ideals can stand up against the law? You're just a bunch of dreamers. But deep inside, Lily felt a spark ignite. This was the moment, the turning point. Maybe so, she replied, her voice steadier now. But even dreamers can change the world if they fight hard enough. It's time we took a stand. The crowd behind her began to murmur, nods of agreement rippling through them. Palmer's eyes narrowed, but the glint of concern flashed for just a moment. Lily could see it. They were growing stronger, gathering courage. Tomorrow they would dive deeper into the history of the mill, unearthing whatever secrets it held. There was so much more to discover. And as Palmer's smirk faded, a realization washed over Lily. They weren't just fighting for the mill anymore. They were fighting for their very lives, their identities intertwined with the land they loved. With every heartbeat, the stakes grew, and the time for action drew near. But in that crucial moment, as the tension thickened like fog rolling across the town, the true question loomed. What lengths would they go to protect the life they held dear? Tomorrow would put their resolve to the ultimate test. Would they uncover the truth, or would Palmer's iron grip snuff out their light before it could fully shine? Lily woke up early, the soft light of dawn creeping through her window. Today was different. Today was full of purpose. She felt the energy buzzing in the air, a force that felt almost electric. As she got ready, she glanced at her reflection. There was determination in her eyes, the kind that came from knowing she had a role to play in saving her home. She joined Clara and Tom at the town square, where others had gathered. Everyone appeared a little bit taller, a little more vibrant in the morning sun. They spoke with a mix of fear and excitement, each word thick with the weight of possibilities. Lily could see their hopes and fears intermingled like leaves swirling in a gust of wind. "Lily, we're thinking of splitting into smaller groups to cover more ground," Clara suggested, her voice eager. "If we can find those documents Mrs. Jenkins mentioned, or perhaps someone else who has bits of information, we could really piece this together." "Great idea," Lily exclaimed, her heart swelling with pride. "I can head to the old library. There might be records there. And who knows? Maybe we'll uncover something about Palmer himself." Tom nodded, already jotting down names. "I'll check with the farmers down by the creek. They might have seen some unusual activity around the mill." As they made plans, a palpable sense of unity settled over the crowd, and Lily felt the weight of history pressing in on them. They weren't just fighting against Palmer. They were fighting for the legacy of their ancestors, for the very roots of their community. But as excitement soared, a quiet dread gnawed at Lily's insides. She remembered Palmer's cold demeanor, the way he seemed to revel in their fear. What if they were walking into a trap? Should they be so reckless as to challenge him? "Hey, you okay?" Clara's voice pulled Lily back to the moment. "Just thinking," Lily replied, forcing a smile. "We have to be smart about this." They dispersed, energy coursing through each group like veins of lightning. Every corner of the town had been touched by Palmer's greed, and now was the time to push back. At the library, the scent of old books filled the air, and dust danced in the shafts of sunlight. In the dim light, Lily searched through stacks of records, sifting through pages of faded histories. Each document held memories of their town, a tapestry woven with triumphs and struggles. After hours of digging, her fingers brushed against something interesting. It was a ledger that chronicled land ownership dating back decades. As she flipped through the pages, a name jumped out: Lily's great-grandfather. Why would his name be here? She murmured to herself, heart racing. Just as she was about to explore the connection, her phone buzzed sharply in her pocket. "Lily, we need you." Tom's voice crackled on the line. "You won't believe what we found at the creek. Palmer's involved in something big." Lily felt a surge of adrenaline rush through her veins. Her thoughts raced back to the mill, dark thoughts of what Palmer could be hiding. "I'll be right there," she said, determination returning to her voice. As she dashed out of the library, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of revelation. Whatever Tom had stumbled upon could very well tilt the scales in their favor. But the closer she got to the creek, another thought struck her. They were navigating a dangerous game, and the stakes were rising. In the distance, she saw Tom and Clara, their expressions a mix of urgency and fear. "What did you find?" she panted, breathless. Before Tom could respond, the sound of a snap echoed behind them, and Lily whipped around, her heart pounding. The stillness of the afternoon felt menacing. They had entered the lioness den, and the scent of danger hung heavy in the air. Were they prepared for what lay ahead? The fight for their town had only just begun, and now they would have to confront what Palmer had hidden away. How far would they go to protect what they loved? With the clouds gathering ominously overhead, one question loomed larger than ever. What dark secrets were waiting to be uncovered beneath the surface? Lily felt the urgency rush through her as she reached the creek, her feet barely touching the ground. Tom and Clara stood by the water, anxiety etched across their faces, shadows darting behind their eyes. The peaceful sound of flowing water felt like a stark contrast to the urgency of their mission. "What did you find?" Lily asked, her breath coming in quick bursts. Tom gestured for her to lean in, his voice low, almost drowned out by the creek's rush. "We've discovered evidence that Palmer has been illegally dumping waste here, and he has been covering it up for years. This creek is tainted." Lily's eyes widened. The connection clicked in her mind. That's why people have been getting sick, she said, recalling the stories of flu-like symptoms plaguing families in the community. If we expose this exactly, we can tie it back to him. It'll show how corrupt he really is. Clara chimed in, her voice gaining strength. The damning revelation surged through Lily like a lightning bolt, igniting hope within her. This could be the breakthrough they needed. But how could they gather enough proof before Palmer caught wind? Tom, did you manage to take pictures? Lily asked, her adrenaline pumping. Tom nodded, pulling out his phone. I got a few before I called you. Just need to make sure we have witnesses and physical evidence. The creek isn't the only spot. We need to check the mill next. As they snapped quick photos, a wave of determination washed over them. They had the potential to flip the narrative, to expose Palmer and reclaim their town. But a nagging fear gripped Lily. What if Palmer retaliated? What if he silenced them before they could act? We need to be careful, she warned, her voice crushing any escalating excitement. If he finds out we're onto him, then we'll be ready, Clara said, her resolve strong despite the tension. But we also have to hit hard. We'll gather everyone at the town square tonight. If we have the evidence and witnesses to back us, we can confront him together. No more secrets. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange, they gathered their evidence and rushed back to the square. Lily's heart raced with every step, a mix of excitement and uncertainty buzzing in her chest. At the square, a crowd was slowly forming, eager yet apprehensive. Clara delivered a short speech, rallying the townsfolk to listen closely. People of Blue River, today we learned something shocking. Our own community, our families are in danger. We need to rise together and demand accountability from Mr. Palmer for the damage he has caused. Lily stepped forward, holding up her phone to show the gathered crowd the images of the contaminated creek. This is a photo of what has been hidden. This creek has been poisoned and sickened our community. It's time we stood up for our rights, our lives. Gasps echoed through the crowd. The murmurs began, rippling like a wave of realization. The townsfolk were starting to connect the dots, and hope ignited in their eyes. Now let us gather witnesses, she urged, her heart racing. We have to ensure everyone knows the truth. Families who have dealt with the sickness, anyone impacted by the mill's neglect. Together, we can create a united stand that Palmer cannot ignore. One by one, hands raised up, the crowd swelling with agreement. People began to step forward boldly, sharing their stories. The elderly man who had lost his wife, children who had struggled with unexplained illnesses, mothers who had seen their kids suffer through the municipal neglect. But as the energy surged, a figure emerged through the crowd. It was Mr. Palmer, flanked by his imposing lawyer and a couple other men. The confident smirk on his face twisted into something darker as he surveyed the scene. What's going on here? He demanded, a hint of malice tucked beneath his words. Lily felt the air freeze around them, and a sense of misunderstanding washed over the crowd. We're sharing the truth, Palmer, she shouted back, her voice unwavering. You've been lying and manipulating us for years. His laughter rang out. Hollow, do you truly think a handful of kids can topple a man like me? You're playing a dangerous game, and frankly it isn't wise. Dangerous for you, that is. Clara retorted, stepping beside Lily, unafraid. We'll share our evidence with the authorities, with whoever needs to hear. You've heard us for too long. The tension was palpable, anticipation draping the square like a heavy curtain. Faces of the townsfolk shimmered with fear, but also with newfound bravery. I suggest you back off, Palmer, Tom added. We're not afraid of you anymore. Then, in a moment that silenced them all, Palmer stepped dangerously close. Do you really think anyone will believe a group of children over me? These are serious accusations. Lily felt heat rise to her cheeks, but the fire within her ignited. It's not just children. We're a community. And today we unite against you. With that, the crowd erupted into a loud cheer. Rallying behind her, fists raised high. It felt electric, a collective heartbeat pounding in unison, powerful, unyielding. Palmer's expression flickered between irritation and unease. This isn't over. I won't allow this nonsense, he warned, glancing back at the crowd with contempt before storming away, his men trailing behind. As the crowd stirred with a mix of fear and excitement, Lily felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had confronted him, faced the very person they feared, and stood united. They had recovered their voices, and there was no going back. Tonight was just the beginning. Lily shouted, her heart pounding with hope. Let us gather our evidence. Let us reach out to the media. We'll share our truths, and we can't stop until Palmer is held accountable. Are you with me? Yes, echoed through the crowd, voices ringing out with confidence. And as they began collating their findings, strategizing and planning, a sense of renewed strength enveloped them. They were heading into uncertainty, but together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the heart of Blue River, that day, hope bloomed brightly, turning fear into strength, transforming uncertainty into courage. And deep down, Lily knew they were ready for the battle, ready to reclaim their town and uncover the truth that had been buried for too long. This time their story would not be silenced. Together, they would rise, and as the sun set behind the mountains, it marked the dawn of their fight against corruption and despair. It was time to channel the strength of their community and fight for a brighter tomorrow, no matter the cost. Now, are you prepared to see where this journey leads them? Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial. Comment below with your thoughts on this thrilling ending, and what you believe Lily and her friends will face next. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how important it is to keep the fire of change alive.